All right. Thanks for checking in on this Thursday, second day of 49ers practices. That'll start in a couple of hours here in Santa Clara. I'm in my cubicle inside of Levi's Stadium. Um, Hey, I will be giving you a rundown on some stuff that's happening with me on a professional basis, new changing role at NBC Sports Bay Area. I know they pumped that up, and I talked about it on the latest 49ers Talk podcast, but I'll probably go a little bit more in depth on that a little bit later, maybe on the 49ers off day. But for today, what I wanted to talk about was a veteran player who came to the 49ers last year on the practice squad. And he's one of these guys that, if you follow the NFL, he had a couple of really good seasons. And then he kind of fell off the face of the earth. And now he's back. And I think Russell Gage is a guy to really keep an eye on throughout the training camp and the preseason and those joint practices, because with the 49ers wide receiver position being the way it is, I do think that the door is really open for some guy. Maybe it's a young guy, an Isaiah Nair or Jordan Watkins or Tariq Owens, or a veteran guy like Russell Gage to step in and make an impact for the 49ers early in the season when they're going through some things. Now, obviously, Brandon Ayuk is on the PUP list. More than likely, he'll start the season on the PUP list. I'm thinking he's probably going to miss 5 games this year, and I'm kind of targeting that Week 6 game against Tampa Bay as maybe the first time we could see him on the playing field. Ricky Pearsall will be fine. He's hit all of his marks. He's healthy. 49ers just didn't want to bring him back into practice until they just get him working out. And I watched him on the side field on Wednesday. He's running well. He's hitting his miles per hour. So I would expect him to be on the practice field on Sunday. And I think he's going to be a really good player for this team. He showed it last season in the offseason program when I watched him. He showed it at certain times last year, his rookie season, especially those last 2 games. But Jacob Cowing, kind of concerning. This is a guy that had a good offseason program. He worked out a lot with Brock Purdy in Jacksonville. Brock Purdy worked, he threw away from the facility to Jacob Cowing and to Ricky Pearsall. But Jacob Cowing, who had shown some progress, a lot of progress in the offseason program. In fact, Kyle Shanahan said he had one of the more impressive off seasons as anyone on the team and showed a lot of improvement, but he goes down with a hamstring injury in the pre-practice portion of the 49ers practice, the first practice of training camp on Wednesday. So no Jacob Cowing, who is a return man and a slot guy. That really opens the door for Russell Gage. And number 84, Russell Gage, he showed up in a really nice way, I think, on the practice field on Wednesday, catching 3 passes. There were a couple of guys who had 3 catches, Juwan Jennings being one of them, Russell Gage being another. But let's just kind of rewind. Russell Gage right now is 29 years old. He turned 29 in January. He had some really good seasons with Atlanta in 2020, 72 catches for 786 yards and 4 touchdowns. In Atlanta the following year, 66 receptions, 770 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And then he signs with Tampa Bay as a free agent, 51 catches, 426 yards, 5 touchdowns. So the production dropped a little bit. But then in 2023, in a joint practice with the New York Giants, sustains a torn patellar tendon, wipes out his 23 season. He comes back last year, signs with Baltimore. He gets cut right before the start of their season and did not play. So he has not played in an NFL regular season game in 2023 or 2024. He signed with the 49ers late last season, practice squad, and he looks like he is back. And so what does that do? This is a guy that played in 2020 when he caught those 72 passes. He played like 750 snaps with the Atlanta Falcons. 500 of those snaps were in the slot position. And so if you're looking at Jacob Cowing as being a guy who could conceivably be the number 3 to open the season and be a slot receiver, well, that door could be open now for Russell Gage. Not that this injury to Cowing is going to carry over into the regular season, but is a hamstring. I would imagine the 49ers are going to put him on the sideline and get him in working with PT here for a while anyway. But Russell Gage is a guy to keep an eye on. When you look at the 49ers wide receivers, there are some guys who have been around, who have experience in the NFL. Demarcus Robinson hasn't necessarily been a prolific wide receiver in his time with Kansas City, his time with the Rams, but he's a solid pro guy. 17 games last year as a starter for the Rams, but his availability early in the season is very much in question as the NFL ponders whether to slap him with a suspension for violating the league's policy on substances of abuse. Okay, so there's one. And then there's Isaiah Hodgins, a guy that played for the Giants, bounced around the NFL a little bit. There's also Equanimeous St. Brown. 49ers signed him this week because of the situation at wide receiver. They just need some guys who can step in, know what they're doing, and basically be able to carry on with practices. Malik Knowles is another guy who's been around the NFL a little bit. But when you look at the 49ers wide receivers, the guys who are healthy right now, and Jacob Cowing isn't in that mix, and Ricky Pearsall isn't in that mix because he's just working out on a side field. But for the next two practices, it's Demarcus Robinson, it's Juwan Jennings, it's Russell Gage, it's Jordan Watkins, the rookie who's shown some good things, it's Isaiah Hodgins, it's Isaiah Nair, it's Tariq Owens, it's Junior Bergen, Malik Knowles, and Equanimeous St. Brown. So my point being that there is going to be competition on this 49ers roster, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. And it's competition up and down the roster. It's at certain position groups, whether it's for starting jobs, but also for backup jobs. And then the wide receiver spot, it's wide open. Again, assuming Brandon Ayuk opens the season on the PUP list, which would wipe him out for the first 4 games of the season. Can we even assume that Demarcus Robinson is going to open the season on the reserve suspended list? So those are 2 guys right off the top who will make the team, who are on the 53-man roster if they're healthy, but probably, maybe, won't be available. So now you're talking Juwan Jennings, a lock. Ricky Pearsall, a lock. I would say Jordan Watkins, a lock. They're not going to risk losing him to the waiver wire. So those are 3 guys who are absolute locks. And then, then what do they do? Then it's those guys that we talked about. It's Russell Gage, maybe at the top of that list. There are opportunities for young guys and veteran guys alike to step in, build chemistry with Brock Purdy, and get this thing going. And the thing to keep an eye on with Russell Gage is I do track who catches passes during training camp, but also it's important to note who these players are catching the passes from. On Wednesday, the first day of training camp, Brock Purdy completed 7 passes. 2 of them were to Russell Gage. 2 of them were to George Kittle, and 2 of them were to Demarcus Robinson. Also, 1 to Juwan Jennings. So just the fact that Russell Gage is out there running with the ones, running with the starting quarterback, I think tells you a lot. The other pass that Russell Gage caught was from Mac Jones. So whether Russell Gage is all the way back from the patellar injury, I don't know. I don't have that experience of watching him when he was, quote unquote, in his prime, when he was catching 70 passes a year with Atlanta, or even 50 passes that 1 year with Tampa Bay. But when you look at NFL experience and success in the NFL, and yes, it was during the 2020, 2021, and 2022 seasons, I'm just saying right now, folks, I'm telling you, don't sleep on Russell Gage. He could be a guy who sees an opening and capitalizes on it and becomes a part of the 49ers offense, at least early in this season.